Hello? No. Hello? 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 Test. Test. All right. What time's it? 3 minutes. Oh, yeah. Looking forward to that.
I did it.
Test, test, test.
Check, check, check.
Test, test, test. I don't think this one's working. Hello? 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 Hello?
Oh, that's what it is.
Okay. Hello? Okay, I think it's working. Is it? Hello? Hello, hello, hello? Can you hear me? Okay. 7 o'clock. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Peacock,
Here.
Councilmember Hartle,
Present.
Councilmember Lay,
Present.
Councilmember Womack. Present. Mayor Wynkoop.
Here. All righty, thank you very much. Edward, would you mind coming doing our prayer for us?
My pleasure.
Oh, wonderful. This young man just had his 90th birthday.
Let's pray. Almighty and ever-living God, we do well always and everywhere to give you thanks and praise, and we're especially grateful for the gift of this time, this place, this gathering of officials and others who are participants in this place. Guide them, guard them, protect them, use them, each and every one. Provide for understanding and expression and understanding and material. And this we do pray in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. All righty, let's keep it rolling here. I guess we'll do presentations, administrative matters, and discussions. Does anybody, you want to go with that? Does anybody have anything they'd like to talk to the council with? Come on up.
Matthew Bauman, 1122 Imperial Eagle Street, Groveland, Florida. I had two questions. First, since I didn't see it on the agenda, I was just curious if there's going to be another meeting regarding the sewer, or if there's going to be a report, or what the progress is on that.
Everything on the sewer, we're going to discuss very little bit about the grants tonight, but it's other grants too. But the sewer topic in the newsletter was for the 22nd this month.
Okay. Second question is, it's an old question, is if the full agenda packet could be posted on the website, it would be very
it was late
helpful.
getting on there today.
No, I don't just mean the agenda. I mean all of the supporting documents too.
Oh.
Is it? I didn't see it. Okay, I'll check it then. All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is there any way of getting that up on the front page?
Yeah, we're working with them to get it under notices.
I'm
So,
not
yeah.
that good at it, and I can't
Yep.
find it. Alrighty, thank you very much. Anybody else have anything they want to talk? Come on up.
Good evening. Kelly Moore at 17029 Florence View Drive, Magnolia Terrace. I just wanted to, I know there'll be a time later maybe, but we don't get to speak, so can you delineate, I've heard that the town of Montverde, when we do a sewer system for us, there's different phases. But now I'm kind of hearing that bringing in these other things like Mineola or other neighborhoods with outside, that's where some of the grant money was earmarked towards. So
No.
part of me was, I just want to make sure that we have real clarity on what the grants were designed to do, and then these other developments coming down the line, tying into ours, or we're going to manage theirs, just so we understand. Because me personally, I don't think it's, if we do it here for our residents, that's one thing in the town. But then to start doing ancillary things, that's where, I wouldn't really support that. But I just want to make sure that everyone has real clarity on that, because I'm hearing different things. That's all.
Yeah, you're
All
gonna
right.
have to wait till the 22nd,
Okay.
but I can tell you my personal experiences, we haven't talked about any of that. I'm not interested in that, but that's just me.
Okay.
But we're going to talk about it through and through on the 22nd.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, anybody else? All right, we'll move on. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's go with you first, Paul.
Obviously, the big topic, staff has been preparing for Hurricane Milton to come ashore. And for the last couple days, our Public Works and myself been out preparing, getting equipment ready, getting the town ready as best we can, testing generators, fueling things up, et cetera, on that end. We are battle rhythm. Once the storm passes and it's safe to get back, our Public Works crew will be out and clearing the main roads first and working their way back into there, just mainly trying to get access. Property owners, if you have debris, put it on the side of the road, not in the roadway, at least 25 to 50 feet away from a fire hydrant, so they don't pick it up the hydrant or block fire hydrants for the future. We'll be putting some more information up on Facebook as it goes along. Our residents, I know the forecast gotten a little bit better this evening, but residents should prepare for downed trees and extended loss of electricity. Make sure you have some food and water supply and first aid kits. The fire department will not respond if the winds get above 40 miles per hour with their normal vehicles. They will respond to the most critical needs, such as a heart attack or something along that line, through special response vehicles they do with the sheriff's department. So just kind of be aware of that and prepare that, not to go out and, if a tree falls during the middle of the hurricane, try not to go out there and chainsaw it or do something that would injure yourself. With that said, no trash pickup on Wednesday or Thursday. Town Hall will close tomorrow at noon and not reopen until Monday. But again, town staff will be out working best to clear stuff up. And we do have the trucks set up, ready to go. There's not a lot of them in the state. They're all in North Carolina. There's a couple of them. So our goal is to try to get them first for all the other towns start getting a hold of them. So as soon as you can, get your debris put outside for that. Really, I'm just going to leave it because I know we want to get out here a little bit early, so I'll leave that unless anybody have any questions for me.
Paul, you said there's no garbage pickup Wednesday and Thursday.
No garbage Wednesday or Thursday. There is a possibility they might run on Friday, depending what things look like, but we'll post that on the website, and I'll have Mayor will post that up on the Facebook if that happens. And please bring your trash cans in. Don't put your trash cans out. They will be gone. They'll be down at the neighbors in their pool. So.
Yeah, Paul, you can confirm that that generator is working fine and will power both this building and the fire department building. Is that correct?
Yeah, generators working for here and the water tower, and all of our sewer lift stations have all been tested, so they're up and good.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if we didn't have some major power outages. Is there consideration of opening this space for people, I don't know, sleeping or whatever? I mean, if power's out for 4 or 5 days, it's going to get very warm. And
yeah.
I know people might want to come in here and sleep at night, restrooms and all that, and air conditioning. I don't know if that's a consideration or not.
So we'll assess that situation. We'll work through Lake County Emergency Management Office. Currently, they have 15 shelters, I believe, that are set up that are geared up to handle people to come in and have the food and everything and the services available. So I won't make that call today, but we'll evaluate that and see if there's something we need to do. But generally, what we'd probably do if the roads are available would help people get to shelters. Would probably be the best thing for them.
I understand, but this is very local for most people.
I understand. I understand.
Okay.
Paul, I guess if it hasn't changed, Astatula Elementary used to be the closest shelter. Is that still, from what you know of? Or
Yeah, I think
changed?
Southlake has one. If you go on the emergency management website, and it was posted on Facebook town website, they have all the shelters listed where you can get access, and also there's a phone number on there that's open from 7 to 7 where you can get information.
And now you're saying that you talked to the big truck, boom trucks, and they're going to come Saturday, you said?
Well, they won't commit. They'll have to. They want to see kind of what they usually have to do a drive-by and see what the damage is. But right now, they only have 2 trucks in the area. Everything's in North Carolina. All their assets are up north. But ideally, if depending on what time the storm comes, it's possible we can have them start as early as Friday. And definitely my goal will be Saturday. But that's really, they have some other cities they may need to serve, so it's going to depend on their drive-bys and what the damage is and where they need to be. But again, I'll say we're going to post that up on the website, and we'll also post it on Facebook, so please watch for that. That's going to be the best place to get Montverde town information on the pickup. But our goal is to try to have them pick it up as quick as possible. So hopefully no later than Saturday we'll start getting some pickups. But again, will probably be the big debris piles that would be around the roads, blocking roads and intersections and things along that line.
I would assume Stetcher property is going to be our FEMA site like it was last time.
We're waiting. Lake County may open up a debris site that we can go directly to, because last time we did a temporary placement there, then moved it to the haul-off site later. However, we probably will utilize Stetcher. If there's really only one truck running to Montverde, the goal would be to get it off the roads in the residents' front yards and driveways as soon as possible.
Yeah, back in Irma, 7 years ago, they didn't have rules for cities this size. Now they do. So we didn't really have to follow the rules that Paul has to follow now in order to get refunded.
Yeah, we were the first ones cleaned up in the county.
Yeah, well, we can hire them to come in, but then if we put it in the Stetcher property and they say, no, you have to bring it to this location, then we have to move it twice. That's expensive.
Yeah, and that's honestly what we did on the last one, but we had to get FEMA approval, and it worked out where they reimbursed us to do that. But you're right, we gotta kind of follow that process. So it'd just be a matter, if there's not a debris site open, then we won't have an opportunity. However, there is some language, so we will piggyback off. They actually have a state contract, the DSV, that's going to be moving it. They have a state contract and a county contract, so we'll be piggybacking off their contract when they send it in.
Right, and
So
back in Irma, 7 years ago, there was no state contracts.
Shook hands.
And that you had to follow. And we put it up on Stetcher, and it was a gigantic pile. And we incinerated it right there for
Yeah.
10 grand. And they paid us back. But now you have to follow the rules that they have
Correct.
in order to get refunded.
Well, it'll probably be like Irma. I mean, the
It'd be-
governor ends up signing an emergency order to get rid of this stuff. So,
Oh, yeah, he did.
Hmm?
Yeah. He's bringing in more trucks.
you gotta burn it.
Yep. And, the main thing I just will say, the beautiful thing about Montverde is neighbors are important here, and neighbors watch out for neighbors. And, we're a staff of 3 public works people, myself, and some volunteers that will step up. You need to check on your neighbors, especially if there's elderly neighbors or people that need assistance. If we lose electricity, knock on the doors, 3 or 4 doors on each side of you, and just check on everybody, please. I mean, that's the best thing you can do for anybody. And if for some reason phones are down, electric's down, you will find some people here at the town hall floating around if you need to get some help. In the fire department's there. They, last I heard, they haven't finalized it yet, but it probably will be by morning. They're going to double stack the trucks. So they're going to put 4 people on the fire truck, 2 on the ambulance, and 2 in the brush truck that's out there. So they're going to double equip us up in this area to respond, because the probability of high winds in South Lake County are still high. So we will have personnel in the area, so you can find us.
Right, so the advice for people that are going to start cleaning up after it is to put it in front of your house towards the street, because that's where they're going to be able to
Yep.
pick it up later.
Yep.
And we're
If-
going to be winding up using our equipment to push it into a bigger pile, so the truck only has to come in and set up once to pick up a big pile, instead of taking 20 times to set up and not set up, set up and set up.
Correct.
Takes too much time. So we have to put it all in one big pile. If it's a long street, you do like right in the middle of the street, pull this side here this way and this way. And then they can get it all at one time, and they can be more productive for the whole day.
Yeah, because they drive by, have to get out of the truck, get up in their claws,
Yes.
so that the town tries to push it together. So we have a grapple on our Bobcat. We have machinery out there. Just please be smart where you place it. Look for fire hydrants. Don't put it on top of the water meters. If there's a low line electric line right above, it loops right from your house, move it to the side or something along that line. Just kind of be cognitive of what you do, and, help your neighbors if you can. The town won't be able to go in people's backyards and onto private property to clean up. We're not allowed to do that with the FEMA. But, we will be around to help as much as we can. Our priorities obviously is going to be getting the streets cleaned up.
Yeah, and just you remind me, don't put it under a tree, because they can't get the boom to pick it up.
Yep.
It has to be clear so they can see it. Okay.
Line too.
Hmm?
Power line also.
Yep.
Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, and I'll be driving around the entire neighborhoods as we get the crews going in the Montverde Public Safety Vehicle. If you see me there, I'll have the lights on. You can wave me down if you have any questions, and I'll be circling multiple times throughout the day. I'll try every 2 or 3 hours to make a circle and just check on everything. So just keep an eye out for me. I'll drive slow and wave me down.
Alrighty. The best we can do at the moment. Anything else?
I think that's all for now, Mayor. Thank you.
Alrighty. Go to our, Anita, you have anything?
I was able to locate the shelters, so the closest shelters to you would be East Ridge High School and East Ridge Middle School for general population. If you need a pet-friendly shelter, Mascot Elementary, and then pet-friendly and special needs shelters is the Astatula as well as Lost Lake Elementary in Claremont. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. All right, someone's not here, so we'll move on to our council people. How about Alan? Are you ready for anything?
Not a lot. Fortunately, I was this morning down in South Florida, Dade, Broward County, and coming back, and we look really good compared to them. They've had a lot of rain. Their ditches are full. I don't know what they're going to do with a lot of water. Paul, you'll like this. I was in Fort Pierce to see their public works crew out in shorts and waders going under culverts with rakes and pulling stuff out. So I thought, yep, it's something you would really like to do. So I think we're in good. Town looks good. I think we got smart people in town, so I have a good night of rest. I think we'll do all right. So.
All righty, thank you very much.
Calm before the storm.
Jim, you got anything?
No, I'm just praying that our town does well. I really pray for the people in St. Pete Beach and along the coast because they haven't even cleaned up from the last one. And so this thing's going to be a monster.
All righty, how about Jim Peacock?
Yeah, a couple things. The library is going along real well. We hope to be installing sheetrock in there by the end of the month. But what I'd like to do, if possible, would be to schedule the staff and the town council for a walkthrough to make sure everybody understands and what's going on and what's being built. It's going to be much easier to make changes now than after the sheetrock is hung. And I don't know if that needs to be a Saturday or what, or if it's going to be an official published meeting, probably.
Yeah.
If all the council did it together, it'd be a public meeting, but I believe I've walked every council member, which we would have to allow public in, which is not going to be safe. So I've walked every council member through individually, I believe, which is probably the best way to do it. And I'll be glad to continue to do that as you guys have questions that arise through. So.
Okay, how about the staff? People are actually going to be utilizing the space.
I don't understand the question, I guess.
The staff, have they?
Yeah, yes. Staff
Okay.
has, and I've taken some of the vision committee people through as well, so, yeah, most
Okay.
definitely.
Well, I just know there's been some changes made, and just want to make sure everybody's aware of that is all.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be glad to, again, take everybody through, so just please get a hold of me, not this week, but next week or something. I'll be glad to get through. I mean, the changes I made have been pretty minor in scope, so, I mean, there's no anything that would, any consequence for me, but what they saw is just kind of moving a couple doorways around and stuff, so.
No, I understand. Again, I just want to make sure that,
Sure.
that these changes are being made in the field, that everybody's aware of them and okay with it is all.
Sure.
It's easier to pick it up now
Yep.
than later.
So, yeah, council, just as you have time and you see me, I'll be glad to walk you guys through.
Okay. The other thing is, I know that next year is our 100th anniversary of incorporation. That's correct?
That's correct.
And the month was May.
Yes.
I know that we have normally concerts in the park, March, April, and May. Is that correct?
Yeah.
I would propose that the concert in May be something extra special. What, I don't know. Maybe it's something the visioning committee could come up with. A little bit of I know the celebration is going to be all year long, but it's just something for that month. Maybe a little special. Everybody be okay with that?
Yeah.
And I think that one of the past meetings we discussed, if you have ideas, if you kind of jot them down, we'll start collecting those and maybe try to do them as a discussion item at a meeting too, just kind of bring them up and throw them out there, so.
Yeah. I have a contact with a very good band, the Plant Street Pops. I don't know if any of you have heard of it, but
I have, yeah, they're good.
they're excellent. They're excellent. I've got contacts with them, and they're interested in playing.
Okay.
I don't have any.
They're the ones with the horns, right?
Huh?
They got a bunch of horns.
Yeah. Like a 12-member jazz band that did stuff like Chicago and Earth, Wind and Fire and Steely Dan and things like that.
That sounds great.
Not your typical traditional jazz band.
Definitely. Yeah, if you could give me their contact information,
yeah.
I'll have Sandy make contact with them, and we can definitely
Manager's
look
out
into
of country right now, but I'll be able to contact them in a couple of weeks on all
it. Okay.
that. And,
But if you can just, pass that information on to
yeah,
us, because
yeah,
we'll have to
on
get
all
with
that,
them on
so.
it.
But that's it, but everybody's okay with that, doing something in next May? I'm not sure what, but something a little extra besides just a typical concert in the park?
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
Okay.
I like overdoing festivals. Montverde Day in 3 weeks, everybody. Are you ready?
Question is, are you?
I don't know what sleep is anymore, but
That was it, thank you.
All righty, thank you very much. How about Carol?
No, pretty much commending Paul and the works crew. In addition to trunk or treat and preparing for Montverde Day, now you have this wonderful natural disaster that's breathing down on us. So I know you guys are stretched pretty thin, but it's looking good. You're working ahead. You're lined out all the parking, and you've got it all flagged off. So if there's something that we can do to help you, let me know.
definitely. I will. Thank you.
I've got a good chainsaw.
Yes. Yeah, you're in charge of Lowry. We'll see you down there with some machinery.
All righty, I don't have anything for tonight. Move on to special finance report. We began with $6,030,963.11. We ended up in the general fund with $5,498,722.43. Our grants, right now our grant account has $4,101,314.71. Total of both general fund and grant is $9,284,158.53. Move on to do.
Mr. Mayor,
Yep.
a quick comment. Our finance director, I think she's doing a really good job. I talk to her about things every now and then, and it's nice that we have that, shall we say, expertise in our finance department. She's done a lot of things that we've asked of her and moved them around. I think she's done a real good job presenting it to us. So just an observation.
All righty, thank you very much.
Yeah, I kind of like this, looking at the last number here, 93 pages of the finance report. That's pretty detailed,
Thorough. That's correct. That's very thorough.
front and back.
Yep, it's all right there. Alrighty, move on to the minutes. Need a consent agenda for all the minutes that are here from September 10th, September 11th, and September 18th. Anybody have anything they want to say? If not, I need a motion to approve all three.
I so move that the consent agenda for the September 10th, 11th, and 18th be accepted.
Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against say nay. Ayes have it. And we'll move on to discussion items and asked Paul to explain the grants to us, an update on what's going on with each one of them, so we're all up to date. If you wouldn't mind doing that.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to keep everybody in the loop of some developments as we work through the different grants and grant cycles. On our stormwater grants, which we have 3 stormwater grants. One's a 1.8 million DEP, and the other one is a Lake County Water Authority, and the other one is a Lake County stormwater grant. And just wanted to advise or let the council know that we did send out the RFP, request for bids, for the stormwater project on Lakeside, which will include road improvements and stormwater improvements from 3rd Street to 7th Street on Lakeside. So that is currently out to bid. It should be in about 2 more weeks. We should have some pricing back on that. And we'll administratively rank everybody like we did on these other RFPs we've done in the past and RFPs. We'll rank them, evaluate them, and bring a recommendation back to council for approval for the project. So that'll probably be looking at the first of the year sometime when that one could get going. We'll be very shortly starting on looking at the Porter project. It was started, we kind of stalled it because we got busy with other projects. So first of the year, we'll kind of get Porter back on involved, which is doing some stormwater improvements for like a poppy out there at Truscott Park and a little bit around 1st Street and Porter Street coming up. Then once we get this first bid back, we'll be able to evaluate what funds we have left over. We have some funds that are targeted toward the boat ramp over by the Osgood property. We have a few $100,000 targeted toward that. Then the remaining funds, I'll bring back to council. We'd like to target maybe doing 2 baffle boxes, clarity baffle boxes, one for the drain pipe that goes directly into Florence Lake from Florence Park, and then looking at the storm drain that goes directly into the lake from 455 would be the next 2 projects we would take a look at to possibly fund. So I'll bring that to you, those 2 projects to you in a workshop in the future, and I'll also in a workshop probably have an update on the Porter Street one as well. On the water system, as you are aware, we were able to get a $13 million grant. DEP is actually, I guess, an EPA grant, SOFI grant from EPA. You'll have an approval in your packet later for that agreement for Woodward and Curran to upgrade the planning study that's required to and to show how it relates to hurricane hardening, things along that line. So that'll be coming forward. We do have the redundant well is ready to go out for bid. For some reason, I'm losing my mic there. I'll switch it. We have the redundant well that is ready to go out to bid, but we're going to wait till we get the planning study and get all the financing cleared up before we send that out to bid. So probably the first of the year that will go out as well. Then the water tower is about 60% design. I think last we looked at it, it's in the 60% design range. So that's one of those projects that'll be funded with the $13 million. The new $300,000 water tower, or excuse me, 300,000 gallon water tower. So just want to let you know those are progressing with those grant funds. Lastly, on the sewer grants, we have received some new information, so I want to pass that on to you so you can digest that, have an opportunity to think about it, and discuss it with me if you want to ahead of the meeting on the 22nd. The first one is on the, as you're aware, we have 3 grants. One is for $19 million, the SOFI grant. One is for $4 million, the DEP, and the other one was $5 million total, which was the ARPA with about 3 to 3.6-ish left on that. I don't have the final number from everything that we finished up on that. So on the $4 million DEP grant, that grant was federal dollars from ARPA funds, and we were on a phone conference with the DEP team at the state. And if we're not committed to a project sometime in November, then give us the exact date, kind of probably the middle of November, they're going to pull those funds back, because if they need to give them to somebody else, if they're not committed by December 31st, then they have to send it back to the federal government, and it goes on to New York, San Francisco, wherever it goes. So that's hanging out there. We're trying to get, on the $19 million, we're trying to get some clarity on the SOFI grant. They didn't really have any program parameters when they awarded us the money, so they're kind of making up as they go along, if that's a fair statement from what I could tell. So they've asked us to submit what we want to do and how it applies to hurricane and hardening and how that system would work. So it's possible those funds can't be used for everything we would want to use them for, and Scott and his team are working to try to at least get a determination of what we can use those funds for, because we may not be able to use all the funds if we can't find eligible costs for them. And we're going to try to get that determination before you guys meet on the 22nd, so you have the most current information. And lastly, the new thing that came out of the DEP meeting when we're talking on sewers, and I want you guys to be aware of this, and so as you give some digesting to what we need to talk about on the 22nd, DEP has gotten a directive from up top from their director, which probably came from the governor's office, I'm speculating. But they have a directive that any future sewer funding money we get, which we know we would need to get more sewer funding money to do the next phases, it's a 4 or 5 phase, it will come with a requirement that if the line gets put in front of a home, they will have to hook up within a year, no exceptions. That's where DEP is going with it. So, So I want to make you aware of that. So as you make your decisions, obviously my job is to carry out your directive, and I want to make sure you have all the information, but I want you to have that information ahead of the meeting so you have time to think about that, talk with your constituents, talk with me if you need to, and then we can go from there.
All right, good idea. Good idea. Couple interesting stuff there. Right, move on. Ordinance 2024-39, we're going to move that, skip that. Oh, you want to go through?
Discuss this lead service lines.
Okay.
Yeah, if I could, Mayor, and I'll try to be brief on that. I won't
Okay.
need to go in detail. There is some information, as you're aware, EPA has required us to do an inventory of all of our service lines within the town of Montverde, so every single service line. We identified, I believe it was 84 lines that have galvanized, or 2 were lead, and 82 were galvanized, I believe what the number is. I don't have it right in front of me. That will require future replacement. I put a sample letter that we are required to send to those residents, informing them of the risk of having galvanized line. Galvanized lines itself is not a risk, but galvanized absorbs lead if there's lead in the system somewhere. So that becomes a risk. That's what happened with Flint, Michigan. As far as lead, again, there's only 2 lines that are out there. So these letters are required to go out. We'll be sending those out next 10 or 15 days. I just want you to be aware, so those letters are there. The next thing that council will have to decide at a workshop is how do we handle the galvanized and lead lines. Now that we're aware that they're in the system, we have to change our monitoring plan, and those become tier 1 monitoring sites that we have to look at. Plus, we go into a whole slew of extra requirements now that we know they're there. If we have a loss of line pressure in the area, we have to inform every single one of those residents when we have a line loss pressure or the line loss, so they can take precautions. We have to reevaluate every year and send new letters out every year and send special reporting to DEP. So long story short, they are required to have replacement, and we will have to look at steps to make sure we require because it's from the meter to the house. That's the issue. Not on the town side, but from the end of the meter to the house. One of those options that might be something I'll just throw out there for you guys to chew on ahead of a future workshop is we could look at using some of our water funds and offering to rebate back the homeowner X amount of money. I don't know what that number is. Let's just say $500 for them to have a plumber come out and replace that line. Maybe it's up to $500 or whatever that magic number is, and some houses it may be 1,000, some of them may be 200. But we can dive into that a little bit more. That way we can incentivize people to replace them. Ultimately, we may get to a scenario where we will have to say it's going to have to be replaced, or we'll have to use our code enforcement or turn the water off.
Paul, I see the number of houses in which have the chart there. Could you explain that a little bit? How many houses are we talking about?
80-something. 80-something.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
87 between there?
We have 2 that actually have lead, and I believe the lead is right at the meter. And as soon as we're done with hurricane, the towns, if they're right at the meter, we're going to go investigate those, and then we're going to pull those and just get it fixed right there at the meter if that's where they're at.
He's asking how many altogether.
Yeah, all together it was 80.
All right, so on your
It's
chart.
it's like 82 or 86.
Okay, 82 houses. On your chart, I'm trying to work my way through it. It says system-owned portion, service line, material classification, non-lead other. That's your soldered lines you're talking about? There you go, Scott, what is that?
And that could just be covered. 1 second, sorry.
It's gray there, yeah. That's the indirect lead we got,
Yeah, so those are the galvanized, I believe.
those galvanized.
Those are galvanized lines.
Indirect lead lines.
Correct.
Okay.
They have the potential to absorb lead is the issue with them.
Absorb lead out of the water?
Yeah.
Well, if there's lead in the water, there's a lot bigger problem than the galvanized pipe.
What's that?
I said if there's lead in the water, there's a lot bigger problem than the galvanized pipe.
Well, this is the federal government mandating, and you want to just explain it real quick? There we go.
Yeah, I mean, So a galvanized line on its own is not a water quality issue. According to the regulation, though, a galvanized line that was or may have been downstream of a lead fitting or a lead line does require replacement.
Okay, so it doesn't have a lead fitting, no replacement?
If it's not been, yeah, right. If there's not been a lead fitting upstream of that, the direction of the water travel, then typically that's not a problem. And that's basically just straight out of the regulation. Yep, the revised lead and copper.
How do you determine that? I mean,
That-
how many are like that?
That's the issue when I met with their engineering team is how do we determine and validate that to the EPA? And so you kind of get to the point of trying to prove that versus incentivizing people to replace 80 lines is probably the easier way to go. But suggestions if you have it.
How did you determine they're galvanized lines? I mean, the lines are in the ground.
Yeah, we had folks go out and do excavations of those lines. Not every single one, but we sampled throughout the town to determine what the material was on both sides of the meter.
Yeah, so any home that was built after X date, so like Apopka, they had to just go do a sample, but all the older homes,
Right.
they physically went out to every single meter, pulled it and dug around it and looked at the line and surveyed it.
But by rule, there was some we didn't have to survey because of when they were built. There was a regulation, I think it was in 1988, that was passed in Florida that said you can't construct with lead anymore. So we knew that anything after that, what didn't require us to excavate, we knew they wouldn't be lead. So the samples that we did were from that population that were older than that.
The majority of them are all 455 in
Yeah.
the Franklin Pond area, 7th, 8th Street, right in that area. That's the majority of them.
So any
Makes you feel good, doesn't it?
lead
Yeah.
fitting would be at the meter? Is that what you're saying?
After the meter to the house.
Right,
Yeah.
but I mean, you're saying upstream.
We're looking at the material of the service line, so between the meter and the house, and also verifying that there's no lead pipes in the distribution system, the part that the town owns. So typically we excavate at the meter because that's where the material changes,
Right.
and so if it's lead if it's not a fitting, if it's the actual pipe, then we assume it's lead from there to the house.
We do these water sample testing things, and I know I've done at least 2 at my house.
Yes, we do lead and copper sample testing throughout the
Okay.
town.
And so what do you find?
We have never found lead or copper.
Okay.
So this was, I will call it for what it is. It was an overreaction from the thing that happened in Flint, Michigan, and they put this mandate on every single water system in the United States, period. It was in the infrastructure
Maybe
bill.
overreaction, but all of us understand what lead poisoning means.
Yeah.
So I'm
Right,
for it.
If the lead fitting, wouldn't it be just simple to explore every meter for lead and? if
We did.
It's not, okay, so it's not there? The lead is not there?
We have 2 meters
2.
that have lead issues.
So why do we have to replace more than 2? I don't understand.
So the way the rule, and this is a little bit of the confusing, the way they've written the rule, it's a little bit confusing, but they make you send out a notice if you have a galvanized line, it requires replacement out of precaution because it has the risk to do it. However, there is some language in there, you don't necessarily have to replace it, but it does require additional testing the town will have to do, additional notifications the town will have to do because there's still the risk. So it's going to cost the town a lot more than us encouraging them somehow financially to get it off the system.
I understand that, but why do you have to do more than 2? My personal question.
Because if the EPA is saying we have to, I mean, long story short,
Well, that just doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
it doesn't make any sense. I agree.
So can we ask them for more definition?
I could provide you guys with the rules and they written the rule and everybody's writing back right now. We don't understand the rule, but you have deadlines to do it. I mean, even the engineers are trying to clarify all the rules because they were written in a rush. So there's a lot of unclarity around the rules.
You know, I understand lead fittings, absolutely, but if there's none present, why fix it if it's not broke?
I understand.
Lead poisoning is nothing to play with. And so I like their abundance of caution. And so let's see what we can do to make sure that we test it, make sure we don't have it.
Yeah, I mean, we've already done the testing and everything, so now we're at notification or replacement. But again, we'll bring some more detail back in the workshop. I just kind of wanted to throw this in ultimately where it's going to end up going is we're probably going to need to get these lines replaced. And we could show you why and bring you the rules and everything, and we'll do that.
So to clear it up, so we don't have to monitor it every year, different things, we could find the houses, get a couple plumbing outfits to say how much do you want to do these, an average, what you want to do per house. Tell each house, we'll give you $500 if you replace it, and here's 2 companies that'll do it for $500, and they get it done. And then if they don't finish it in a year, then we start doing the code enforcement on them to finish it.
Well, I just have major heartburn if somebody told me to replace a water line that did not need to be replaced.
Well, we'll show you where it needs to be replaced. I mean, if you read it,
Well,
it's
what
going to
you
need to be
said so far
replaced.
makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's why we have
Right.
lawyers and
Yeah.
engineers.
EPA does.
Yeah, so the letter you see about the galvanized pipes, that's the EPA's letter basically. When you read through the letter we got to send, so that's the notice they're requiring us to send. On the reverse end, we have to have a separate lead and copper sampling plan for the water system at Lake Apopka because they're on a different source system than us. And however, because all those houses are new that we've done from this inventory, we now are amending our permit, so we no longer have to do lead and copper sampling over there. So that's actually going to save the town a couple $1,000s every year now. So we did see a positive come out of the rule, and that's eventually what will happen with this if we get them replaced. And the goal would be we can get rid of the lead and copper sampling plan because now we know everything's been replaced in town. So there's no need to do those quarterly 30 lead and copper samples we do every quarter.
And I would presume since the water's coming from Oakland, the burden is on Oakland and not us.
But no, it's on us to do the lead and copper because that's always been the rule. But now through this statute, we have verified because of the age of the house, there's no more lead and copper, and now we can get that off our system for testing.
So this is a $50,000 problem.
Yes, I mean we could fix it for 50 grand. We could make all this go away.
All right, we don't have to decide right now, right?
No, we're not deciding anything. I want this is kind of the teaser for the discussion to come, and then you guys can visit with me if you need to, and I'll have all the EPA rules and more information for you.
All righty, well, thank you very much. We're going to skip 2024-39. We're going to skip 2024-129. We're going to skip 2024-131, and we're going to address 2024-132. If you would, please, Anita.
We're going down to 132?
We're on 132, yep.
Okay.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida, approving State Revolving Fund Amendment 4 to Loan Agreement DW 351300 between the State of Florida Department of Environmental Protection and the Town of Montverde, Florida, to reschedule loan repayment activities to adjusting the semi-annual loan payment amount to reflect actual costs, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
Okay, so we're looking to prolong this. Do you want to explain this one too, Paul?
Sure. The original, I'm going to round numbers. Original number for this agreement was around 163,000. The final project was it 166, Anita? Yeah, 166,000. So this amends that agreement for that. And so this goes back to probably 3 years ago that we went through the state revolving fund system so we can get in the queue. And this paid for the planning study through a loan through SRF, which set us up to get the $13 million grant that we got. So now we're at the repayment schedule. So we've made the first repayment back of this of around $10,000. At one of the next two meetings, I will actually bring a resolution asking council to let's go ahead and repay the full amount back with our impact fees from developers so we can remove this off the books now. So this was kind of a means to an end.
Ready? I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. Anybody have any question about this ordinance? Okay, I'll bring it back to council. So we've got to give Paul the okay to put this together just so we can just pay it off here and now with impact fees.
Yeah, so on this one, we'll just be amending the amount by about $3,000, and I'll bring another resolution for that there.
Well, Carol probably doesn't remember, but myself, Jim, and Alan, you guys remember this. We did it so we can get involved in it, and it worked. And now we just want to get the money back. It cost us $16,000 to get it done, but we got
And interest.
13 million.
It's like a credit,
What, like 15,000 in interest? Yeah.
If you're all right with it, give Paul direction to put this, or Anita direction to put this together, right, Anita?
Yeah, I don't need a motion to approve the resolution.
Okay. Anybody want to give the motion?
I so move that resolution 2024-132 be approved so Anita can go forward with this.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. Alrighty, let's move on to 2024-136, if you would, please.
133, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, 133, I skipped that one.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, approving task order proposal for drinking water facilities plan update dated September 3rd, 2024, between the Town of Montverde and Woodard and Curran Incorporated, authorizing the town manager to execute the agreement, providing for an effective date.
Alrighty, you want to go ahead and explain this in two, please?
Sure, Mayor, if it's okay, I might have our town water engineer just give a brief description of that, if you're okay with that, Scott.
Sure, I can do that. So with the previous agenda item and the SRF funding that you talked about before, that funded in large part the planning and design of the improvements that are nearing, that we talked about before, which was a redundant supply well at water treatment plant 1. Is that 1, right? And then the 300,000 gallon storage tank that's going up on the Stetcher property. Associated improvements in both of those places. That facilities plan specified that the cost of those improvements to be somewhere between $4 and $5 million. So subsequently, and this relates to the SAFI grant that you have forthcoming from DEP for $13 million. The plan is to use that money to pay for these improvements, but obviously there's a gap between the grant money that you have coming in and what is existing in the plan right now, which is only $4 or $5 million. So the proposal that we have is to update that facilities plan. Anything that you construct with design and construct with the $13 million, according to DEP rules, has to be in a facilities plan that they receive too. So the facilities plan, we have to amend the facilities plan to do two things. One, to demonstrate how the improvements that we have already planned and designed meet the eligibility requirements of the SAFI grant. But secondly, because you have capacity to do more, there's a list of other improvements that we want to officially get into that plan and get the cost estimates put together so that we can then subsequently allow you to use the balance of your $13 million grant for whatever other improvements are needed by the system.
Can you go into more detail with the other improvements?
Well, so yeah, the initial plan identified a number of things. There was potentially some looping or expansion of the water distribution system to improve to improve age and water pressure and things like that. There was upgrades to the instrumentation system.
Yeah, I think the main thing, just in a nutshell, is looking at upsizing a lot of our service lines and fire hydrant systems. Example would be Ridgewood at the roundabout as you head toward the, the direction, as you head toward the mobile home park there. That's a 2-inch line servicing those homes over there, and we have some other 2-inch lines that are servicing those. So upsizing those lines and systems would probably be one of the priorities we would use the extra funds for. We're now going to bring on multiple different water systems, so getting those to communicate better and being able to kind of see it in a more SCADA type system so we can control it. Energy efficient savings, slow starts, more VFDs, things along that line would be some other things we would look at. And part of this, as they go through the plan, we are planning on kind of bringing a workshop and bringing kind of the ideas in front of you so you can kind of rank them and we can price them as we do it. So we'll kind of be doing that in the near future.
So the topics that you're going to put in this aren't going to be the ones we have to do. We're still going to have a workshop.
Oh, yeah. So this is just approving them to get started on the plan. And part of that plan is having a public meeting and coming before you guys and talking about other improvements that could be eligible for it and which ones are your priorities.
So like the 40 acres is down Ridgewood towards the mobile home park on the right, if we're gonna do the change the 2-inch line, we wanna put enough size line in there to do that 40 acres.
Oh, most definitely, yeah. I mean, everything really should be an 8-inch line if we can upgrade. I mean, there's places 6 are equivalent, but we have a lot of places that don't have loops. Water quality is another issue we could look at. We know we have some manganese, a little bit of manganese and iron that comes in the line, which settles kind of at certain places in town. We could look at some microlight filters or some cartridge filters to kind of improve that in the system.
Yeah, one of the places is down there by Bob's house. They need
Correct.
we need some attention with that.
Correct. Yeah, so I think those are all improvements. What Scott needs to do, what this does, it goes through the exercise to see how it can be SOFI eligible. And just because we may want something, it may not be SOFI eligible, so we have to compare it to see, you know, it's all related to hurricane, hardening, response, emergency. So we can definitely look at that.
Okay, so you just need us to approve that, to do this little dance here.
Correct. Basically, you're approving the agreement for them to do the next planning study.
Mm-hmm.
Then part of that planning study will be getting with the town and discussing what's all in that plan.
What's that cost?
170.
170,000.
Yeah, technically, that's an amendment to the prior facilities plan that we wrote. We want one all-inclusive document that has all these potential improvements in it. We don't. The ultimate and ultimately part of that process is literally like Paul just described. We would come back to you and say, these are all the things we can look at. These are what we think they cost. Whether it's more or less, clearly you want to find something that at least covers the $13 million grant that you have, so you can, you know, basically pick options from there. But as long as it is in the facilities plan that ultimately gets approved by DEP, then you can utilize the funds to actually get that stuff designed and
So
constructed
like
later.
170 grand, what's that, 1 week for you guys?
No, it's not. I mean, you know, what we're trying to do is accelerate that, though. I mean, we have, you know, we have improvements that we talked about before that are or will be soon ready to go out to bid. So I don't know. We're not clear on whether we have to do that all at once. Once we get the plan done, those things are in there. We may be able to, and what we're hoping to be able to do is get the plan done, get that approval done, so that we can get those projects out to bid. Even if that means we're still trying to, you know, complete the planning work. Before we finish the design on all the other stuff.
Alrighty.
So you're basically icing the cake.
Weird.
And we can't, long story short, we can't access the $13 million until we turn the facilities plan in. I mean, that's what this is in a nutshell.
Alrighty.
When?
Okay, let's open it up to the public. Anybody want to talk to the engineer about this? All right, I'll bring it back to council. Any more discussion?
Scott, on this last page, we got task 1, task 2, 3, 4, 5. A couple of those have been done, haven't they? Aren't those completed? Page 5 on the schedule.
In the table?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so they haven't been done in a way that DEP will be able to approve them. We did them initially in a way like the original facilities plan met DEP's, the state revolving fund requirements. The eligibility for this SOFI funding, again, it's hurricane response, resiliency, added a number of additional requirements, additional approval steps, because those have to go through EPA. So we have to go back, and for the plan we've already written and the work that's already being done, we have to go back and demonstrate using their criteria how those fit the criteria, so that we can use that grant money to pay for construction of those improvements.
What does SOFI stand for again?
Supplemental appropriation for Hurricanes Fiona and Ian. I don't know. I don't even know where Fiona hit, or where it only applies to Ian here in Florida and a certain number of affected counties, including Lake.
And obviously, we need 13 million because it devastated us.
That's what we need, another acronym.
So if the well's going to cost 4 to 5 million. I mean the tank. We got another $8 million to spend.
Redundant well, probably 500. So yeah, we'll probably have 8 million, 6 at least, maybe 8 or better when it's all said and done. Yeah.
So we're deciding what we want to do with that $8 million.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, we're going to bring a list of eligible things that you can use the money for. And, and that's their job. They're going to look at our system and say, here's, as an engineer, here's your weaknesses. If we have dead-end lines, we have undersized lines, we have some water quality issues, they'll look at that, evaluate that, and then kind of bring back recommendations of what we can utilize those funds for.
Right, so the council should bring their ideas too.
Most definitely. If you have them, send them to me, please.
Yeah, there's no harm in specifying $20 million worth of improvements. As long as it's in there, you have the option to construct it with the available funds that you have. So you don't have to do them all. You can do the ones that are your priority, but we can at least get them into the plan. That way you have the option later to decide which ones to proceed with.
Do you have any guidance on what they're going to allow in this?
So we used some of the initial plan, and we did some initial conceptual stuff that actually went into the application for this money in the first place. And it talked about some of those things that we talked about before. The goal is to help you be more resilient and to storm events or natural disasters. And so a lot of what we specified, which included the stuff that we've already designed, a redundant well, so you have backup water supply there, redundant storage in the system, so you have additional storage to be able to respond. The distribution system to allow alternative pathways so that if you lose a water main somewhere, you can reroute. It has the added benefit of increasing water pressures if that's an issue. We haven't modeled that to know that that's the case, but also for water quality improvement, because water doesn't age in the system where you have circulation and distribution improved. So the initial application was written around that and basically using the eligibility criteria that they specified in the application. So the application that said that on the basis of which they awarded you the $13 million said, yes, this sounds good. This sounds like it all does that. But we're already finding that they're going to go through that with a much finer pencil to look specifically at the things we are doing, because some of them are, they're for, even if you want to make an improvement to a plant that increases capacity and helps you with redundancy, those components still have to be, some of them have to be flood proofed, or you have to justify what you're specifically doing to make those components more resilient than they were before. So that's really part of the exercise here. We're not having to do this on the fly like they've seen this stuff before. We just have to add a much greater detail around that to get the approval to go to the next step.
So you guys have cast a net. They've cast a net. You're casting a bigger net on top of their net, basically to cover everything. In a layman's term.
Yeah, but and now we got to figure out what the net will actually capture and what's not going to slip through.
They're throwing the what ifs, and you're saying, okay,
Correct.
we'll do this.
Yeah.
Just one last thought. Remember we had this conversation when we did our first capital improvement plan nearly 4 years ago, where we talked about an old study that was done from 10 years ago that showed the same deficiencies in the system, not enough fire flow water for the future, and not having redundancy and stuff. And we kind of talked about just working on that redundant well. And as a council, you guys worked through that, and we approved the first facility plan, which was a lot of discussion about going forward with that. And it's 3 years later, it's led to the step of now we're at $13 million to a point where literally we can do everything to make our system A+ all the way.
Alrighty. Let's open it up to the public. Have any questions?
Matthew Bauman, 1122 Imperial Eagle Street, Groveland, Florida. So the updated plan can be used to apply for additional grants going forward too, as well, correct?
No, we have the grant award, and so now we just have to submit the facility plan of how we're going to use the money. This money was kind of last minute, came in backwards. Usually you do a facility plan, then apply for the money. We applied for the money, and they said now do a facility plan.
I know, but the updated plan could be used to apply for different grants in the future going forward?
Yeah. If it ends up being more than $13 million worth of improvements they identify, but more than likely we're going to be able to identify and get everything we need to have done with this money, where we shouldn't really have to look for future grants for quite a while.
I was just curious. Thank you.
Yep. I mean, I think it exceeds everything that we expected from a money standpoint.
Alrighty, I open it up to council. Any questions?
Paul, we can't use this for getting the lead out?
Who knows, maybe, but by the time the problem with this is, actually one of those other resolutions we skipped over gets you to the next step where you can apply, where they'll give you funding to do that, but then you have to bid it and you have to go through this process. We'll end up spending more money and time doing that than if we just kind of funded it ourselves. So we're already staged right now with the grant we approved. If you recall, we did a 50-50 loan/grant in order to get into the system for the lead surveying, which they did. And that leads you to the next step where you can do another grant in order for them to do a construction plan, which leads to another grant to get the actual funding to do it. But by the time you go through the bureaucracy and the time to do that and just looking staff time wise and the money would take to do that, I would just ask the council, let's just fund this and get it done.
Agreed.
Anybody else?
That's word for you.
I need somebody make a decision.
So we're on 133, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I make a recommendation that we resolution number 2024-133 as written.
A motion to move forward. Anybody want to second it?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. Alrighty, if you would please, Anita, 2024-136.
A resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Montverde, Florida, approving the interlocal agreement between Lake County, Florida and the Town of Montverde, Florida regarding the use and improvement of the Montverde boat ramp, authorizing the mayor to execute the agreement and providing for an effective date.
Okay, this is going in with partners with the county for the boat ramp.
Joe, why is it the mayor here and is the town manager everywhere else?
Oh, good question.
I think it's old verbiage.
Yeah, I mean, generally, it's mayor signs resolutions and I'll sign the agreements. It just got put in that way.
But
So.
everywhere it's the town manager. We used to, I think this goes all the way back to when the mayor was the chief officer.
The county prepared the agreement, well, the county's agreement already had the mayor in there, so I just left it that way.
All right. Good enough.
If she went back to the county, it could take a couple months to get it.
All right.
Alrighty, so
They're happy, I'm happy.
what's the drop-in date that they have to do what they need to do?
Yeah, so their contract is for 18 months. They asked for 36 months in this agreement. I talked with Bobby Benita, the Parks and Rec Director at Lake County, and told him that won't work for us because we have some grants that will expire by then that we're going to use for that. So if you approve this, I'm going to ask that you approve it with it being amended for a maximum of 24 months, which would be in section 4 on page 3 of the term of the agreement. And they insist that their goal is to have it done within a year. They have 18 months in their contract. But things can run over, hurricanes, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, well, let's open it up to the public. This is giving the county 24 months. We're going to give the county 24 months to use the boat ramp and then fix the boat ramp.
Oh, and let me, if I could just clarify, they're going to utilize the boat ramp to build that tower at Ferndale. Then they're going to, knowing that they may cause some damage to the area, they're going to give the town a $100,000 whatever. They're going to pay the town $100,000 so we can add that to our boat ramp replacement that we're mixing with other DEP funds.
So we're going to get paid $100,000 to let them use it for 2 years. But they're not going to shut it down to everybody.
No, they can, yeah, people still use it.
They're going to bring real big equipment in and out of there, so they're going to damage it worse than it is.
Well, let them ask their questions first, because I got a couple questions on that.
Okay, open it up to the public. You guys want to talk about it? We're going to get paid $100,000 to let the county use our boat ramp for 2 years, but not block it. Okay, I'll bring it back to council. Go for it.
Well, my question is, they're gonna bring their heavy equipment down Broad Street? What street they're gonna bring it in on?
Yeah, likely it'll probably come down Broad, and it's not going to be. It's a kind of it's a tower, like a 30. I wish Sean was here. A 36, 40-foot tower, or something like that. So there will be times where there'll be some beams and some equipment, and may have some concrete trucks that will go down it. It's not going to be a like they're building a hospital or something along that line. But yeah, they'll probably end up coming down Lake and into Broad, somewhere in that ballpark.
But they're not gonna do any improvements until they're done doing their construction in Ferndale.
That's
And their
correct.
Ferndale means a barge that they're gonna bring in.
Yeah, they're going to load the stuff on a barge and take it over to Ferndale.
All right, it also means a crane. At least that's what I read in there, was a crane there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And so there's some other pieces of equipment which is gonna come down Broad Street. I just wanted to know how much damage it's gonna do to Broad and whatever. Now, how much heavy equipment are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really no different. Someone building a house down there. Long story short on that, but part of that money, the 100,000, where part of that is to improve the streets in there, honestly, because there's going to be enough money to do the boat ramp and the parking, and probably do a partial overlay, at least where they turn the trucks. Then Lakeside's going to get rebuilt anyway.
I was gonna say that, can they actually utilize that ramp now? It's in such bad shape, are they gonna, they can?
The last year I did bring and put some gravel down there and filled in the worst holes, but they're going to pull a barge right up to it where they can drive onto it, and they looked at it. I mean,
It'll work.
I hope it will, because
And what, it's for the tower where?
they're building a tower at the Ferndale Preserve.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna get through.
Not
that.
a cell
That's
tower,
mud.
a lookout tower, sorry.
This is not the tower, the new tower at the Overlook, but the preserve, right?
You got a picture you
No.
can put up where they're putting
No,
the
this is
towers?
down by water, huh? This is down by.
Yeah,
water.
it's down by the water on the
Okay.
Ferndale Preserve. Yep. So, they built that one tower at the Overlook. It'll be a larger, bigger tower.
Well, Dr. Council, I'll put in that the county's been an outstanding partner for Montverde,
Oh, I agree.
and
I'm
I'm willing to help them
want to
any
know
way
what
we
we're
can.
buying into.
I kind of, correct me if I'm wrong here, Paul, but the concept of constantly equipment is going to be basically they bring it in on lowboys, they load it, it stays over there. When they finish the job, it comes back. It's not a take it home every night kind of deal. So it's one in, one out, we're done, and then they move on, correct?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the equipment will be staged at Ferndale. They'll get it there and stage it. They'll have a little bit of equipment staged, obviously by the boat ramp. They'll have to keep there to do some loading and unloading. Then yeah, some trucks will come in. They'll load a barge, for a few hours and move it out to there. And probably that's probably how they're gonna have to get their workers out there too that are working on it.
Alrighty, you guys are done. Need a motion to approve or deny?
I make a motion that resolution 2024-136 be approved.
Motion to approve. Need a second?
Second?
And that's with the reduction in time to 24 months,
With the
correct?
amendment of 24 months.
Thank you.
Good catch. All right, I need a second.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. We're going to go to 2024-139, if you would, please, Anita.
A resolution of the Town of Montverde, Lake County, Florida, reporting on the Lake County, Florida's bond referendum on the ballot for the general election on November 5th, 2024, which, if approved by the voters, will provide funding for the acquisition and improvement of public lands in Lake County, providing for the publication of this resolution on the Town of Montverde's website and on Facebook page.
I'll say that myself, Alan, and Jim Peacock went to the meeting last week about this, and what it is a tax that's already there, and this money helps build parks, because they'll take 50 million and get matched 200 or 300 million more from the state and federal governments. So that built, for example, that place out in 561, that built that, one of them. And this comes down to an average house in Lake County will pay $21 a year if you approve it. You're already paying the $21 a year right now. It's going to keep it going and build more parks. I'll open it up to the public. I'll bring it back. You guys are already familiar with this. I know you three are.
Yeah.
You guys are familiar with this, right?
Yeah,
This is awesome.
this is awesome. This is gonna front load the county being able to buy sensitive land that we need to protect now. It won't be there very much longer.
So we're doing this to show the county and the voters that this council is in favor of it. Go home, tell your people you're around, to vote for this, this coming election. 'Cause this is going to be one of those that you're not going to understand a long list, but it's a tremendously important grant to keep
One of the
fund to keep
examples
going.
is Lake Hawthorne. That was 300 acres down there on south of Claremont that was scheduled for 4 houses per acre by the developer. They paid market value and took it out of 400 houses, basically 1,200 houses down there, and it's a really nice. If you haven't been to it, it's a pretty nice place.
That's the one on 561.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right, council, do you want to approve this or deny it? We're just approving that we agree with it.
Well, I make a motion that we approve resolution 2024-139.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Okay, but please go home, please tell your neighbors to pay attention to this one and vote yes. It does help us all. Let's move on to 2024-142, if you would please, Anita.
Are we doing 141? I'm sorry.
Did we, no.
We're doing 42?
No,
We're not
One-
gonna,
no, we're doing 142.
so we're not doing solid waste.
Yeah, that's reflected.
Okay. All right, sorry. 2024-142, a resolution of the Town of Montverde, County of Lake, State of Florida, reducing by 10% the consumption portion only of potable water utility rates commencing with the November utility billing, providing for an effective date.
Alrighty, this has been going on for a while. This is the second reading.
First reading.
Oh, first reading, okay, I'll do another one. This is giving residents the 10% cut in usage rate off the top for water. So everybody's gonna get 10% cut, and we're not gonna increase the normal 5% a year. So you're getting an actual 10% in your pocket right now and saving 5% for next year. And it's really, in my opinion, is because first we have more income coming in the water than we used to have, and we have good systems in place, and our town hall team is managing the water very well. So we'll move it to the public.
No one wants the rate decrease?
You ready to bring it?
No comments?
No. Huh?
Waste Pro?
No, but that ain't over. We're skipping that one tonight. All right, yeah, we'll bring it back to the council. Anybody have a problem with
You
this?
don't see a rate reduction very often, so.
No,
We
give
did
it,
last year.
yeah.
Yeah, and we're doing real well in the water. Mostly doing good management and grants and stuff like that. So
And volume.
We're doing well in
We're
water.
doing much more volume.
Yes,
Water, so it helps pay the bills.
it's like Walmart.
Volume hides a lot of mistakes. Okay, anybody want to approve or deny this?
I so move resolution 2024-142, the give back to the citizens rate, also known as, to be approved.
All right, got a motion to approve. I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, that's about it. Thank you very
Mr.
much.
Mayor,
Oh,
one other quick comment. On our resolution on the ballot, there are 6 amendments that'll be on your ballot for the state constitution, and it'll be really easy to get this one mixed up, because a lot of people say, I don't know this, and they just pass it. So I'm not sure. I've asked Sean this past weekend if he could give us from the group that's doing this, what this will be actually called, so that you go on the ballot, you'll say, I don't know what this thing is. It's worded like they usually do them, so that you don't not vote on it. So stay tuned.
all righty. Come on up.
Hi there, Wayne Meadows, 16401 Magnolia Bluff Drive. I wanted to refer you back to the September finance report, if you would. I believe there might be an error in the balance. If the math is just your ending balance plus your grant clearing account is your total balance, we're $315,000 off.
How much?
$315,000. If you just simple math, 5.4 or 5.5 plus 4.1 is 9.6, not 9.2.
Where you at?
On section 4, September finance report.
And here we are giving my such a good approval.
Well, it's $315,000, almost $316,000 difference to the good.
That's an issue.
So we're a little better than what was shown. Just wanted to bring that up.
That's very suspicious.
Real suspicious.
I'll just take a 5% finder's fee. Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you. By all means, scrutinize it all you can.
We'll check
please.
into that.
Thank you. All righty, anybody else want to
Fine,
follow?
Paul.
Yeah, if you could look into that $300
Most definitely,
issue, that'd be nice. All righty, and make a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Need a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say nay. Nay.
I tried my hardest today
Hey. Okay.
Man, I got a deal for you.